Good evening. Have you ever been in a situation that is completely out of your control? A situation where no matter what you do, you cannot change the circumstances around you. A situation where you're stuck. You've got no way out. Nothing you can do on your own can get you out of the situation. You actually need somebody's help to get you out of that situation. You ever been in a situation like that? Tonight I'm going to tell you a story about a time I found myself in a situation where I was in over my head, if you will. I was 14 years old and I was in the 8th grade. I was going to the beach with my brother and his friends. Now they were all a little bit older than I was. They were, juniors in high school. And I was kind of the younger guy hanging out. I was 14. And so we went to this great day at the beach. It was a ton of fun. We got in the car, we drove about 45 minutes from my house to the beach. We had everything spread out. We were having a great time playing volleyball, and just having a good time. And then everyone decided they wanted to go swimming. So I thought I was a pretty good swimmer, so I jumped on in the ocean with them and we started swimming. But what happened this day is we swam out further than I've ever been out. I'm not exactly sure how far out I was, but it was further than I'd ever swum out. I could not touch the ground underneath me. And there I was, and we were out there having a great time. And one by one, everybody started to swim back in to the shore. And I stayed out a little bit longer. I was having a good time. And so after a while, I decided that it was time to swim back in. And I started swimming. But I realized I wasn't really making any forward progress. I wasn't really getting anywhere. So after a while, I got nervous because I was getting tired. And as hard as I was trying to swim, that undertow was just pulling me back and I wasn't getting any further. So fortunately, my brother had stayed in the ocean as well, and he was still within shouting distance of me. And I called out to my brother and said, "Hey Ryan, I need you to come help me. I'm stuck. I can't get in." So he swam out. And he tried. He was strong enough to get himself back in, but he couldn't get the both of us back in. And you know what, folks? I was stuck. I was scared. I didn't know how I was going to get back in. And my brother was getting frustrated because he wasn't strong enough to push me in, if you will. Well, fortunately for me, we had a friend of ours there that day that was trained as a lifeguard, and he was a really good swimmer. So after a while of trying, my brother actually called out to him, and luckily they were close enough where they could come back and he actually hear us. And my brother called out to him, and he came out, and he really saved me. He brought me back in. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if he wasn't there. And unfortunately, he was, and I really could not have made it back to shore without him. So that was a story that ended real well for me. But it makes me think about storms and being stuck and not being able to change our circumstances. And I think we find ourselves in situations like that in life a lot, where we're stuck. Maybe we make some bad choices and we get ourselves into those situations. Or maybe sometimes these are things that we have no control over. These storms of life come in and they just wipe us out. Maybe our parents are divorced. Maybe somebody we love passes away. You never know. Maybe we're an athlete and we tear our ACL and our life's turned over by our circumstances and we really can't do anything on our own to get out of those situations or fix those situations. And that's tough. I think we all deal with that. I want to tell you a story tonight from the Bible about Jesus that this relates to a little bit. So just, if you would, I'm going to turn to the book of Mark, chapter 4, and this is entitled, Jesus Calms the Storm. That day, when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with them. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Now check it out. Here they are. They're going out of this boat, Jesus and his disciples, and this gigantic storm comes in. And it was so bad that the waves were coming over. It was scary. It was out of control. They were scared. their lives were hanging in the balance. And so check out what happens next. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples awoke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" So this is what Jesus did. This is what it says. He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you afraid? Do you have no faith?" So check this out, guys. Let's unpack this a little bit. Here's this guy Jesus, and I don't know if you believe in him or not, and maybe you do. Probably since you go to school here at Oaks Christian, you've heard about him, and maybe you believe in him, maybe you don't. But here you are at Lost Canyon, and we've talked a bunch about Jesus, and I've said that he's the Son of God, that he's God in the form of a man. And so here he is out on a boat with his friends. Out on a boat with his friends. And this big storm hits. And he's so kind of cool as a cucumber that he's sleeping right through it. And they wake him up. And they say, "Aren't you scared? Don't you care that we're going to drown?" And he rebukes the wind and the waves. And he makes it all stop. Jesus, the God of the universe, he has power over all the storms that we might encounter, real actual storms. But I think it's more than that. He has power and an answer for the storms of our life that we can't control. Those things that either where we get ourselves into bad situations and we need help to get out of them, or when bad things happen to us and we don't even know why, and they're by no fault of our own. Like I mentioned before, if somebody hurts you or your parents get divorced, you find yourself into a situation that you didn't ask for, but nonetheless you're there. And we have this opportunity. We have Jesus, the God of the universe, there, and he wants to come alongside us and help us through those storms, and he wants to calm the storms and set everything back to how it could be, and set everything right so that you can find your way through it. Just like my friend that came out into the ocean. He left the comfort of the sand on the shore, and he swam out into the ocean with pretty big waves that I wasn't strong enough to overpower myself and get myself back to shore. And he came alongside me and grabbed me and brought me back to safety. And that's what Jesus wants to do. He wants to do that for you. He wants to do that for me. And that's what he's there for. He's this eternal great resource. And you can access him. You have access to him. And he wants to help you through the hard storms in life.